Okay, so it's time. Good morning, everyone. We have our interviewee here, right? Luiz Fernando Schibelbain. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is our third interview of our extension program called I.T.A.L.K, International Talk about Language Knowledge. So, welcome, Luiz Fernando. We have to start with a small introduction, right? And then we go for our students' questions.
Right. So thank you all for having me here. It's really an honor to talk to students and very engaging students, I believe. So my name is Luiz, and I've been working with English for over 30 years. And English as a second language, English as a foreign language, or English as an additional language. Because today we don't say foreign language anymore. We say additional language. I was a teacher at the beginning of my career, and then I became a language school coordinator, where I helped all the teachers. Then I became a writer. I wrote the books for teenagers, and then I did my master's degree in British phonology. So I studied the language, the sounds, the production of the sounds. And my master's degree, I did it in the University of Cambridge. That's why I speak with this British accent. And now I am the head of the PES, which is the English Solution Programs. And last year, I finished all my studies in my PhD on bilingual education. So I love English. English has been my career, my heart, and everything that I have today in terms of career and professional growth. English has helped me. So you are going to be talking to someone who is in love with the language.
Okay, so let's go for our first question. Mario, please.
Uh, Hello, my name is Mario, and nice to meet you. Uh, I want to know if you have any technique to learn another language more easily, because I want to learn a lot of language, but I think it will take some time and it will be hard.
Yeah. Okay. I can speak very well four languages: English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian. And I can speak on a basic level French and Russian. So I've learned all these languages by studying them because I like the grammar. I want to understand why things are the way they are, but mostly by singing songs. So when you are exposed to songs, because songs have a story, they have a rhythm, they bring vocabulary and expressions, and then by listening to them for over and over, what happens? Your mind begins to reproduce the song in the correct rhythm with the pronunciation every time closer to the language. So I love listening to songs and singing them, and I imitate the singer because I want my brain to be able to function, to work in that language. So this is one thing. And another thing is watching TV in the language. Not the news, but maybe series, maybe YouTube short videos, because when you watch something, you have the visual aid, the visual help for you, and you have the language, so you can relate both. So that's what I would do if someone asked me to give them some advice on how to learn languages, to be exposed to the language. And one thing that I learned, which I think is very important, and I believe you can hear me now. I speak English with a very um, controlled pace. I don't rush. I don't speak like this just to get rid of the. No. I speak clearly because I want people to understand me, and I want to produce the sounds as they are. Because once you produce the sounds as they are, your brain can understand the sounds when they come in. So, for example, I don't know if you can speak Spanish. Any of you can speak Spanish, but in Spanish, we have the color red, which is rojo, and we have the word, for example, for a pitcher. A pitcher is a big container that you pour juice into a glass. So that's a pitcher. A pitcher in Spanish is jarra, but they begin with the letter J. So in Spanish, the sound for J is h, is like the H in English. House, hotel. So in Spanish, it's h. So if I speak Portuguese and I look at the J, the letter J, jarra, roja, which is the red pitcher in Spanish, I would say jarra rojo. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So you have to make your sounds very clear. Try to reproduce them very, very close, very accurate to the original sounds. So that's one of the things. Don't try to speak very quickly. Try to absorb, to digest, to involve with the sounds. That's very important.
Okay.
Okay,
Anna,
thank you.
your
All
turn.
right.
Hello, I am Ana Sofia. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And I mean, I really like your accent. I think with an accent, it's a really cool accent. And but I can't really speak like that. So yes, it's a good thing. And my question is, what are the easiest and the difficult language for you so far? And which is the language that you most like the most to learn?
Okay, Anna Sofia. I like to play with the names in English. Anna Sofia.
I
Uh,
like that too.
right. Okay. So, one of the most, I mean, it's not a problem of difficulty, but it's a problem of what is your first language or your mother tongue, the tongue. What's your mother tongue? So I believe for you it's Portuguese, right? That's your first language, Portuguese. Okay. So what happens is, I studied a lot. I studied the brain a lot, how we learn languages. So what happens is this: um, our brain is a splendid organ that is inside our body, but our brain is dumb. You know, dumb, stupid, because our brain concentrate on one thing at a time. And with the language, what happens is the following. We are born when we are babies. We are born and we have the opportunity to learn any languages when we are babies. Because our brain is, I'll use it in a very simple way. It's clean. So you are exposed to the language and it's oral language. No mothers or fathers or families teach the language to their babies, like having a blackboard and telling them about the grammar. No, it's the context. Oh, you're hungry. Are you hungry? Oh my God. Oh, you're cute. Okay. And then the brain starts receiving those sounds. And then the child begins to imitate. That's why I said the song is nice when you imitate the singers. And then the brain gets specialized in that language. In our case, Portuguese. If you're not bilingual, I mean, if you're not as a child learning two languages, but just one, your brain gets specialized in Portuguese. Okay. And then eliminates the other possibilities because it's biological. What happens is when we are learning other languages, the problem is that our brain is going to use the Portuguese as a matrix for the other languages. So when I started speaking English a long time ago, I was 19 years old. And I learned very good English, as you can see. And when I started speaking English when I was 19, my English was Brazilian English because my brain used Portuguese as the matrix. So I would speak things like this. Hello, how are you? Good? I'm good. And it was Brazilian English with the southern accent from the south of Brazil because I live in Curitiba and here we speak in a different way. My intonation was different. I would say, hello, how are you? This is Brazilian intonation. So what I had to do, I had to work very hard. Like when you go to the gym, you have to work out. You don't go to the gym one day, and when you go back home, you look in the mirror and say, yeah, now I'm good. That's the end. No, you have to go months, years, and practice. And then you see your muscles, and then you see some. So the language is the same thing. So I started shaping my language. So instead of saying hello, I use the British way. Hello. This is how they are enthusiastic. British people never say hello. No, it's hello. And they don't say how are you. No, how are you? So this is the correct. This is the British intonation. Now, when I studied Spanish, I loved the Spanish from Spain, not from Argentina. And then I started listening to Spanish songs. My teachers were from Spain. I went to Spain. I studied there. So my Spanish is more from Spain. And the most difficult languages for us Brazilian speakers are the languages from the Chinese, the Japanese, but mainly the Chinese, because it's a tone language. What's a tone language? It's a language that you have one syllable. Let's use the word in Chinese, ma. Ma can be a horse. Ma can be something else like a street. And ma can be bad. But it's the tone that you change. And in Portuguese, we don't have that. We don't have the same sound with different tones. So ma, ma, ma. So for our brain to memorize the word, to put the word in a sentence, and to understand the tone, that's very difficult. So those are more difficult languages because we don't have that in Portuguese. But in Spanish, in Italian, in French, they are Romance languages. So they are more similar to Portuguese. They are easier. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
The next one is Juliana.
So, good morning. Are you listening to me?
Yeah, yeah.
My question is not about the language specifically, but I know that you have experience living abroad, all right? So, I would like to know if you recommend it or, I don't know, like, if you know or if you recommend any exchange program, a good one, but a one that is not expensive. I don't know, as au pair, au
Yeah,
pair. Do
yeah.
you recommend au pair? Because I was thinking on doing that, but I don't know if it is a choice, good choice, and I would like to know your opinion about that.
Okay. Um, I I worked with exchange programs for some time in my life, but always related to English. Yes, because we had I worked for a language school, and they had this exchange program. So our students would go and live abroad, and I went on an exchange program for 3 months because I want to test to see if that was fine. And one of the best things about living abroad is because you get confidence. When you arrive in another country and then you are there, you are living the culture, you're living the food, and you are in touch with different people, with different ways of addressing, dealing with problems. Oh my God, this is like in your mind because it makes you see that what you have here, you can have the same things but dealing with them in a different way. So this is wonderful. Um, what I would suggest to students when I was working with exchange programs was that a very short one was not good, like 3 weeks, 1 week, if your English was very basic. With a very basic English, if you travel on a program to study like 3 weeks, it's not enough. But if your English is intermediate or more advanced, okay, 3 weeks is fine because you're going to absorb a lot because you have a lot of language. So that's the first thing. If your English is basic, at least 6 months. Au pair is a very good program because you're going to be living with a family. And I lived with 3 families abroad, and it's awesome. It's wonderful because, first of all, you think, oh my God, I love my family in Brazil because this family is so weird. So this is nice. You give, you know, you value what you have here. I lived with another family and they were wonderful. And then I thought, oh, I'm learning new things here. I'm going to take them back to Brazil. And so it's nice because living in a family, you are inside the house culture. what time you get up, what do you have for breakfast, what kind of um, outings. An outing is when you go out on a Sunday, on a Saturday. So what kind of outings they have. So this is wonderful. And and it improves a lot. It improves your English, it improves your culture. So I would recommend it. And nowadays, there are many tour agencies that have those kind of programs, like Student Travel Bureau, STB. Student Travel Bureau is a nice one because they have been for years working with those programs. So they are very, you can trust them. So STB is a nice one. EF also is a nice one. Uh, I went to London once through EF, and it was a nice one, very well organized. When you had problems, health problems, I mean, so they give you a lot of support. So that's good. I recommend.
Okay, thanks. I really I really want to do that, but I am a little afraid, like because there is some risk, because I was seeing like the girls saying that they were in the house and the family like abused of her, and I don't know, but I want to do that, and I don't know, maybe. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to go to the meetings before you travel, and you have to feel safe. You have to trust. So
Mhm.
that's why it's very important to prepare, and you feel confident that they are going to give you a lot of support. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, our next one is Lucas. Lucas, here.
Okay, hi Fernando. My name is Lucas. I wanted to say that it's a and I wanted to ask you what was the hardest thing about learning languages that you know, and you said like Italian, English, and all these language that you learned.
So I'm sorry, it was a bit. I couldn't hear you very well. What was the hardest thing about learning languages?
Yes, yes,
Ah,
it is.
okay. Well, the hardest thing about learning languages is that you need to wait. You have to be patient. Patience is very important because, for example, this is my Portuguese. I know this. This is the whole lot of Portuguese that I know. And when I start learning another language, I begin here. So look at the difference. It's one dot and a whole million of dots. So I want, so it's the patience of how can I express myself, and you don't find the words, and you feel like dumb because you don't know how to say the basic, which is hello, how are you? I'm Luiz. I live in Brazil. And then you want to say, oh yeah, it's very hot today. I wish I were at the beach because there I could go swimming, and you can't. So you have to be quiet. And we are people. We are human beings. And human beings need to communicate. That's why we are here. We don't live on an island with a tree. We live with people. So it's communication, which is difficult when you're learning a language at the beginning. And so that's the hardest thing. And another thing, and I have an anecdote to tell you. Something that happened to me in England when I traveled for the first time. My English was basic plus, not basic, but basic plus. And I went there to study English because I want to perfect my English. And I went to a school in the south of England, in in a town called Bournemouth. So I arrived there and I went to school. as a student, and I started speaking English because the teacher asked us questions. So tell me about yourself. And I started speaking, and he said, "Why are you here?" And I said, with my English back then, I said, "I am here because I wanted to speak British." And the teacher looked at me, very, English type, and said, I see. He was very polite. And at the end of the lesson, he said, Luiz, I'm going to recommend to you that you go to our pronunciation lab. So they had a laboratory for us to work on pronunciation. He said, go there and start practicing. And I said, okay. Then I went there. Look, this was in 1989. So Flintstones who were here on the planet. It was very, very basic. And then I went to a lab in a school in England. I got those big headphones, and I had buttons with cassette players, something very old, vintage. And I started working with my pronunciation. And then someone spoke on my phone. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? And I, hello. Okay. What's your name? Luiz. Oh, Luiz? And I said, yeah. How do you spell it? Oh, Luiz. Z. Yeah, Z. Okay. What do you do? And I was afraid because I couldn't speak. And then he said, you know what? Go to the reception because I want you to be here for more hours because we need to work on your pronunciation. He was telling me, you don't sound good. But you have to go to the school's reception desk and get a card for you to use the lab more times. I said, okay. I went to the school's reception desk, and there were many people there, and I was there, and then the woman said, how can I help you? And I said, hello, I need a card for me to use the laboratory. And she said, excuse me? And I said, I need a card for me to use the laboratory. And she said, you don't need a card to use the lavatory. I said, lavatory? No, laboratory. And then she said, okay, repeat after me, laboratory. And I, sorry, laboratory. And I, laboratory. I thought that was terrible. And she said, so? No. I need a card for me to use the laboratory. So then she gave me the card. So, they made fun of my English. And that was embarrassing. But then I said, okay, if this is the problem, I'm going to be the best. So that's why I studied. I did my master's on British phonology. And then now I can speak English very well because in the past someone said, your English is not good. So you need a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Lucas.
Okay, the next one is Isabella.
Hi. About learning a new language, do you believe that the most effective form of development is listening or speaking?
Okay. We usually talk about the 4 skills when we learn a language. we talk about listening, speaking, then reading and writing. Okay, so your question is on these two, listening or speaking. Let's analyze how we learn languages when we are born. So we are born, we are babies. How do we learn a language? We learn a language by listening. So you start listening, and it's a lot of input, a lot of listening. And after that, you start translating the listening into speaking. This is a very complex thing that happens in our brain when you get our ideas, and then we translate them into speech, which is motor, which is a muscle, which is tongue, which is a lot of things happen here. So the first thing is speaking. And do you know how you develop your, sorry, the first thing is listening. And do you know how you develop your listening very well? By reading. When you read, your listening gets better. Now you can say, really? How? Well, when you're reading, what happens? You are, I can't find another way, another word like it, you are decodifying. Because when you read, you have the words, and the words are in a code. They're there, printed code. You go into your eyes, you go into your brain, and your brain is going to get that word, like cat, and then your brain is going to make like cat is the animal. Okay, cat, the animal. Okay. And when you do that, inside yourself, you are speaking with your inner voice, your inside voice. So this happens all the time. It's very fast. So listening and reading are the most important, because that's the foundation, that's the basis for you to then, when you have all that, you speak. Okay? So concentrate a lot on your listening and reading for you to perfect your speaking.
Okay. Next one is Wendell.
Hello. My question is how would uh, where you and started to speak another lounge? Sorry.
Can you repeat that?
How old were you when you started to speak another lounge?
Okay. Okay. Uh, I was a baby because my family spoke Russian at home. So I learned Russian as a second language because of family traditions. And I spoke Portuguese too. So they were together in a way. And when I started learning, really learning, because as a child, as a baby, you learn, but it's different because it's the first contact. That's what we call true bilinguals, people who learn two languages at the same time with the same input and without studying the language. It's the natural approach. So you learn Portuguese naturally. You didn't need to study to speak. So for me, it was Russian and Portuguese. But then I started learning English, which was then my third language, when I was 19. So I am, in a way, people would say, Oh, you started learning English at a very late age. Okay, but I was motivated. I had a reason to learn. I want to become a teacher, and I want to speak very good English. So I had a lot of dedication. So my English, although I started late, I mean 19, not so late, uh, I worked a lot to make English a very good language for me. And then after that, I learned Spanish and then Italian and French. But in Russian, I learned because of my family. And when I was 9 years old, I spoke Russian with my father and my father's family. My father passed away. He died, passed away. And then we stopped speaking Russian. So today, my Russian is very um, receptive. I understand, not everything, because when I learned Russian, I was a child. It was 40 years ago. It was a different language then. And but to produce the language is more difficult because I didn't use it any longer. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Wendell.
Okay, next one is Acelina.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Acelina, and my question is, how are the several levels of teaching a language chosen? For example, we have basic, advanced, pre-advanced, and I would like to know that what is there something behind, like physically or psychological thing behind?
Um, Let me rephrase your question. You are talking about the levels of
Yeah,
proficiency.
yeah.
Yeah. And then what do you want to know?
Is there something behind, like for you define the people, like this people is basic, this people is pre-advanced, this people is pre-advanced? How do you know the people,
Okay.
the level of the person? Is there something psychological behind or something like that?
Yeah. All right. Okay. There are many documents, there are many studies, and a lot of rules and regulations when you talk about languages. In 1991, um, the Cambridge Assessment English and the Association for Language Testers in Europe, they produced a document called the Common European Framework for Languages. Uh, and what is there in this document? They put all of this that you've asked me, Selena, in a document. It's a very bulky, it's a very large document where they tell you everything. Like there are 6 levels of language proficiency for many languages, for English, Portuguese, Spanish, German, French. Okay, and these 6 levels, they are based on how much input you understand and how much output you can produce. So they recorded many people speaking language as a second language. They asked questions all over the world. It was a huge project, and all the linguists, which are the language scientists, they studied this. They analyzed for many years. This document lasted around 7 years to be ready, and then they built this framework, which is what is an A1 level student. A1 Well, the document is divided into 6 levels: A, B, and C. A levels, which are A1 and A2, are the basic speakers. Basic speakers are the people who can speak a language for simple everyday conversations. What is a simple everyday conversation? You talk about yourself, you talk about your routine in the past and maybe a plan in the future, but you can't um, interact with the world in a more abstract way because you don't have the words or you don't have the structure of the language to make hypotheses, assumptions. Uh, this is very concrete things. So you can describe object, you see something, you say, you talk about it, and that's the A level, basic. The B level, B1 and B2, is the intermediate level. Here, you can understand input and you can produce output, a more abstract kind of language. You can plan things, you can get an idea and then you talk about it in a different way. You can make plans but based on a lot of other possibilities. So that's the intermediate. This is concrete, this is abstract. And the C level, which is C1 and C2, this is the proficient user. Basic, intermediate, proficient. The proficient user can understand and reproduce language for technical, leisure. Uh, you can understand like idioms. What is an idiom? An idiom is language that if you analyze the words, the meaning is totally different. Yeah. So an idiom in English would be, it's raining cats and dogs. When I say it's raining cats and dogs, it doesn't mean that it's raining cats and dogs. It means it's raining a lot. So a lot of cats and dogs are coming down from the sky. And you can give lectures, you can talk about possibilities. You have a lot of different ways to say I like. Here you say I like pizza. I love pizza. Here you say, yeah, pizza is one of my favorite foods. Uh, Pizza appeals to me. And here you talk about it using lots of idioms. Yeah. So that's what basically languages are divided into 6 different levels. And there is a document which is the Common European Framework.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, 3 more questions. Natalia, you're the next. Natalia?
Your mic is muted.
Hello. Well, Giovanna then.
Hi, it's really nice to meet you. My name is Giovanna, and I want to know if you ever struggle like changing the languages in a conversation, like you were talking to someone and you forgot the word and you say it in another language.
That happens a lot. And this is the beauty of being bilingual. When you speak more than one language and people say, oh, you have an accent. Yeah, I have an accent because I speak more languages. And it happens a lot, mainly because of the, there is in languages, you are not fluent in all the languages that you speak the same way. This is quite impossible. So no one is fluent in all the languages. Why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because we have what we call them. Um, there are certain dominions. Yeah, there are certain contexts that I live in one language that I don't live in another language. So in that specific context, I can express myself better in one language than in another language. For example, if I ask you a question about mathematics, uh, how much is 325 times 21 minus 5? Maybe your brain is going to think about that in Portuguese. When I ask you about your phone number, what's a phone number? Automatically, you have it in Portuguese, not in English. So there are certain areas or contexts that they are more frequent in one language than the other. For example, nowadays, let me close the window here. Uh, if you need to go to the beauty salon or the hairdressers and you want your hair to be straightened or you want something different, but you are in Brazil, so you're gonna talk about it in Portuguese, or you guys that want to have a haircut, but just trim a little, or you want a different design, okay, in Portuguese, okay. Then you are there in the United States, let's say, and you go to these hairdressers, but you don't know the words. So they come in Portuguese, and then you need to translate. So in English, it happens because I speak English quite a lot. I read a lot in English. I watch TV in English. So there are many things, and like recipes. I love to cook, and I watch a lot of food shows, MasterChef, everything in English. So sometimes I need to talk to people that don't speak English about seasonings, oregano, paprika, uh, basil, all those condiments or those seasonings, they come in English. So one, I was talking to my sister one of these days in Portuguese, and then I said the following sentence: "Você não vai pôr oregano aqui na pizza?" And she went, "Ah, o Príncipe Charles está aqui na nossa casa," because she made fun of me. But I said, "Oh, sorry," and then I couldn't say oregano, because oregano was oregano. The same happens with paprika, paprika. So, because I use it a lot. One day I was in a shop, in a store. I want to buy a microwave oven. And then I arrived there and I asked the guy in Portuguese. I was here in Brazil. I said, eu gostaria de ver micro-ondas. And he said, and he just pointed. Quero no andar de cima. And then I said, upstairs. Oh, desculpa. So this happens a lot. So no problem. It's common. It happens. And I have friends who speak English and Spanish. And when we text one another, our WhatsApp is crazy because we have things in Portuguese, in English, in Spanish, is a mixture. And this is the richness, the beauty of speaking more languages. And it will help. And I tell them, if you don't understand me, sorry, you are not bilingual. Sorry for that attitude.
Okay, let's try to go back to Natalia now.
Hi, I'm Natalia, and sorry. How to deal with the absence of corresponding words when writing a dictionary? For example, the word saudade is like I miss you.
Okay. I didn't quite understand the beginning of your question. Can you repeat, please?
How to deal with the absence of corresponding words when writing a dictionary.
Okay, all right. Uh, First of all, we need to think that languages are different because languages, in fact, they are an invented uh, thing by man, by humankind, by people. Yeah. So we invented language for us to communicate, but languages reflect the culture of a people. Okay. So in Brazil, we have this word, saudade, because we are part of a culture that comes from Portuguese, and in our culture, this word has a very Latin and strong meaning, because for us we are very attached to family members. I mean, so when we say saudade, because uh, we are from Latin origins, uh, we feel the lack. Lack is when you don't have. Lack, L-A-C-K. We feel the lack of someone or something much more intensely than, for example, British people. They don't feel saudade like we do. So they don't need to have a special word for that because they don't have that feeling in their language. I'm gonna give you an example. I was living in a house in London, and the mother and the father, I mean, the householders, they had a daughter, and she was going to go to university in 1 month. And the mother said to me, "Oh, we are so happy that Sabrina, her daughter, is going to university next month." And in my Brazilian mind, I was thinking, "Oh, they're happy because she now is at university. How nice!" And then she finished the sentence. "We are so happy that Sabrina is going to university next month because we are going to have an extra bedroom in our house to receive our friends." And then I said, "Oh, I see. And what will happen when she gets back?" And the mother said, "She will never get back because she's going to university, and from there, she's going to live her life. And I hope, yeah, and I hope she never gets back because I want to live my life now." I was inside, but outside, that's interesting. So it's a different way that people deal with relationships, for example. So saudade in Brazil, it's because there is a lot of culture in this word. So when you're saying in English, "I miss you," miss meaning you were not here before, so I missed your presence. It's not like, "Oh, que saudade de você." Yeah. So it's different. So like in Eskimo, in the Eskimo language, there are many words to describe the snow because they deal with the snow every day. For us, snow is white and it's cold. For them, there are more than 25 words to describe snow. So it depends on the place and the culture.
Okay, the last one to ask the question is Larissa.
Hello. My question is, how long did you take to learn your first second language? Not Russian, but like English, I think. And how long do you take now?
Okay. Uh, I started learning English when I went to university. When I did my language course, letras, language course, I started and I couldn't speak any language, any English. And my teacher, the first class was in English at university. She spoke for 1 hour, and then I put my hand up and then I said in Portuguese, "Desculpe, eu não entendi." And she said, "Oh, you can't speak English?" I said, "No." And she said, "Why are you here?" I said, "To learn English." And she said, "No, no, no. Here at university," because it was the federal university here in Paraná. She said, "Here we begin at the B level." And I was here, pre-A1 level. And she said, "You're going to have a lot of problems." And then I said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" So I bought a grammar and I went to study English in a language school. I was in the level 1, and at university I was in the level 10. So I had to study a lot, for 1 year. And at the end of the year, I could pass the first year, but the teacher told me, "Look, you need to improve your English." And then I went to England. And then I lived there for 3 months. And then I learned more because I needed it. I was super motivated. And when I got back, I studied for 6 months in the language course. And then after 1 year and a half, I had my first English group of students to teach. They were basic. I was not basic anymore. So I started teaching. And when you start teaching, you learn more. So that's how I did it. Okay. So for me, that was the beginning of my career.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Luis, I would like to thank you very much for attending our interview. I'm sure the students enjoyed a lot. We learned a lot with you, and yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, I loved it. Your English is awesome. Congratulations to all of you and to you, Marcelo. And
Thank you.
keep up the good work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
and
Luis.
Thank
Goodbye,
you.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. It's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Bye. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Thank you too.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.